I don't think we're live now. And who said that?
All right, so
that was pretty uneventful.
His walk.
Oh, we didn't
say much.
So yeah, I don't think we're gonna. They're not letting cameras into the courtroom. It doesn't look like.
So now this is the only spot that the media can set up.
We'll
is that right?
Play by play from.
Yes. So okay. So let's
JB
explain.
For me, I think I might just.
All right, so let's explain exactly what happens from this point forward now. JB Buno, Josh Benson here with you on the left and right side of your screens, respectively. So here's how this is going to work. What just happened was Bryan Kohberger was transported from the holding area into the courtroom where now the extradition hearing is going to begin in approximately 5 minutes' time. Of course, he arriving about 5 minutes ahead of the 3:30 scheduled start time on the docket in Pennsylvania court. So you would imagine that it's going to start relatively on time. Yeah. Of course, what will happen as we understand that the process looks like this. The judge will confirm that he is waiving his extradition. There will be a paperwork component. I'm not sure if the paperwork component is going to happen in the courtroom where he's going to write and finally, sign, in essence, his waiver to waive extradition, or if that is going to happen in a separate area. But this is where basically the judge is going to confirm that he is waiving his extradition out of the state of Pennsylvania where he was apprehended, and of course, waive his extradition to the state of Idaho. We will follow along now with the reporters that are inside the courtroom itself. I spoke with Pennsylvania court officials on the phone yesterday to get a little bit more as to what this was going to be like. And they said, look, it's not the biggest courtroom. It's not the biggest courthouse. So what it was going to look like was it's a first come, first serve basis for people, for reporters, members of the media, and members of the public to go in there and sit down.
So you guys didn't get there on time.
I'm not entirely sure
there's
who's
a lot
in.
of media there.
Yeah, I would imagine that there was a lot of interest as far as getting a spot.
But as for so no cameras in the courtroom whatsoever, no pool camera, no nothing, and you can only have it in the lobby. Is that what you understand?
Oh, well,
yes,
I think they actually have
pool
somebody
camera
in the
itself. So this is the pool camera feed.
So,
and the next time this feed is going to be relevant to us is when Kohberger is coming out.
Right.
And when Kohberger comes out, we will know, of course, the hearing is over. And I don't believe, if I remember correctly, I have the rules, basically the Pennsylvania Supreme Court rules in my inbox here. And I don't believe that live tweeting is permitted.
In the courtroom by journalists?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'll read this here.
Do they have to give up their phones?
It depends.
Let's see here. The court prohibits the taking of photographs, video, or motion pictures of any judicial proceedings or in the hearing room or courtroom during the judicial proceedings. Here's the part that I find interesting. Additionally, the court prohibits the transmission of communications by telephone, radio, television, or advanced communication technology from the hearing room or the courtroom during the process of or in connection with any judicial proceedings, whether or not the court is actually in session. So the court prohibits transmission of communications from telephone or advanced.
And if you do it, you could get kicked out of court.
So
contempt.
If they are enforcing Pennsylvania Supreme Court policy, there are no phones permitted inside of the courtroom, and
which makes journalists' job even harder. They got to wait like everybody else.
Yeah, because then you have to come. Who knows? I have been to courtrooms where they'll take your phone. They'll say, "Look,
oh sure,
yeah."
They don't mess. The judge doesn't
mess around. No, it's like this is the rules of this building. No phones past this point, and so it's kind of radio silence.
Oh, and Bryan Enton from News Nation, he's obviously there. He says going in the courtroom now, cameras and live tweeting is not allowed, but we'll update here and on News Nation when it ends. Hearing set to start at 3:30. So yeah, 2 minutes away from what should be the start of this. But yeah, no live tweeting. So we're all going to just have to wait.
Yep. And this is a good opportunity for us to talk with our audience.
Yep.
But this camera shot, everybody, this camera shot, I would get rid of this camera shot. This camera shot is still relevant because when the find out more information. I think really there's been a trickling of information that has come out through various interviews and conversations. Some media outlets really just doing a lot of digging on this story, Josh. And then, of course, but really the big thing that everybody's waiting for is the release of the arrest affidavit, because then we'll get.
But also, and you brought it up, the 4:30 presser today with the police.
Oh,
yeah. That could be a lot of information into what happened and how they got him.
Yes, there will be
how he was arrested. I mean, details. I mean, who knows? Who knows what they're going to talk about?
There will be a presser, I guess, to update us on what goes on here at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to try to stay live and cover that. I mean, I don't see why not. I guess I just will. I got plenty of coffee made, so.
Talk about in detail in that coming up, but you just mentioned that that's going to happen, so that's good to hear.
About the case, and then we can close the book on it. Maybe that's their.
Well, and I wouldn't blame them, because think about how big of national attention, worldwide attention this case has gotten. So if you're a police department or any agency like they are, you're going to want to control some of the narrative, because you're housing, suspect number one. You know what I mean? Like, this is a big deal for not only them, but for Pennsylvania, for people following the case. They want to prove to the public that, hey, we have this under control. We know what we're doing. This is kind of what went down, and this is what's going to go down until he's extradited back to Idaho. So that's what I assume it'll be at 4:30.
Jamie in our comment section says #KJB. How long do you think that this will take? I think this is going to be extremely brief.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be long.
Yeah.
More of a formality is what we've been reading and learning about this.
Yeah,
scenario.
these things.
I mean, it's just
not a trial.
It's just the opportunity for the judge to have Kohberger in front of him in his courtroom. Okay, here
we go.
Here's some. Oh, they're waving. Okay, so this might be it. Let's bring up audio. Let's listen in. You saw the camera photographer wave. That is usually the universal sign for actions about to happen, communicating back to us at various news stations across the country. The time now, I just want to make note of this, 3:32. So if this really if this is it, that was extremely brief.
We do need to stop somewhere for dinner. You have to think about that.
Oh, look, dinner
Pick
plans.
up on some of the side chatter from inside the courthouse as well.
That's good. Some dinner plans.
I thought they were taking care of it at 3:33.
Is he asking somebody out on a date?
Yeah. I guess you have a whole press conference that in too.
Why am I so interested in the side chatter? I'm so nosy.
Brian, are you even trying to get this?
Yeah, I actually, when they opened the door,
Do your job, Brian. Come on, buddy.
Disappear. Left the
Maybe
door
not.
closed thing. So I'm gonna
Seems like that might have been.
That lady was like, "Are you even
Also-
trying to get this?"
I was going to say
That would have been awfully
that would have
fast.
been a record.
Okay, it's not over yet.
I mean, court hearings are known to sometimes be extraordinarily short, but that might have been a record. So let's talk more about the Pennsylvania press conference,
Yeah.
the PA State Police press conference that they announced. And I thought that this was interesting. They announced
JB.
it for. We have to be ready on the touchscreen, folks, to hit a button to go full screen so that we can monitor Kohberger coming out of court. But Pennsylvania State Police, they released this. Colonel Robert Ivanchik, Commissioner of the Pennsylvania State Police, Major Christopher Paris, Area 3rd Commander of State Police, and Monroe County District Attorney David Christine Jr. will be holding a press conference today to discuss the apprehension of Bryan Christopher Kohberger. Kohberger was taken into custody early Friday by members of Troop N and the Special Emergency Response Team at a home in Chestnut Hill Township in Monroe County in connection to the homicides of 4 University of Idaho students on November 13th. The press conference will be available via live stream. A PA cast video will be available after the event.
Girl of the Valley wants to hear chisme. Porque soy chismoso. Tengo ganas de joder. Tengo ganas de joder. Tengo ganas de joder.
Yeah, this is interesting.
That's all he's doing.
So I'm just trying to answer my cat. I said arrives for extradition here, so I should just say just arrives for here.
Thank you. Thank you, Girl of the Valley. I appreciate it.
Okay.
You got better hearing than I do.
Do I though?
Oh, I can't hear a thing.
I'm listening.
Just wait till you get older, JB.
A hearing not to have, yeah.
Some of the normally off-camera interactions that occur when we're talking about what's that now?
Yeah. He's in the hearing right now.
Oh, okay.
All right, cool.
Yeah, just confirming with our team here. Thank you, Jim.
He can really hear well.
He must, and he's older than both of us.
Yeah.
So
what's his secret?
he has superb hearing. Shout out to Jim Hockett. So
yeah, shout out Jim.
He has Bryan Kohberger has according to this court officer waived extradition, and what he's doing now in the courtroom itself is signing the paperwork necessary for him to formally approve and legally approve of his own extradition. So yeah,
and I guess the logical question now too is how long now before he is extradited back to Idaho? That's what everybody wants to know.
Yep. And the judge might be announcing that here shortly. Mm-hmm. That answer might also come at the Pennsylvania State Police press conference, although that would surprise me a little bit. I'm sure it's possible, but that's going to be if they take questions, one of the questions is going to be, when is Kohberger leaving the Pennsylvania jurisdiction?
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be interesting to see if we get an answer on that. But all of this unfolding over the next hour or so, folks. So if you're just joining us, JB here with you live on WFLA Now. Josh Benson, Bryan Kohberger, the Idaho murder suspect. He is currently in the courtroom waiving his extradition, signing the paperwork necessary. What will then happen after that is he will be escorted here by court personnel, by members of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, I believe. They're going to be escorting him down the hallway back to his holding area. He will be transported back to the Pennsylvania Correctional Facility, awaiting his official transport. And I believe, of course, then it will be up to Idaho to arrange for transportation to bring him back to the state.
You know, it's interesting storylines too, is just what we see on social media and what everybody talks about in terms
Gracias,
of all right, how is he apprehended,
for
how
the
did they
PayPal.
tail
I
the
appreciate
car? You know, they found the car at the parents' house. That's something that came out today. The dad had traveled back to Pennsylvania with Bryan in the vehicle. There's some speculation on if they both, I think there was 2 tickets that they got pulled over twice on the way back. Now we're seeing some speculation that may have not happened from police. So we don't know the true story there just yet. But also seeing things, you know, what kind of inmate was he in the jail? I saw some things on social media saying, hey, you know, he was going crazy and he was threatening people. The Monroe County Correctional Facility warden came forward, I know, to CNN and said that he has been a model prisoner who has not caused any problems during his time in detention. That's according to a source familiar with Kohberger's status at the facility.
Like every other.
This just kind of shows you that there's so much information out there and storylines that are happening so fast. And it's kind of tough to decipher like what really is happening in terms of, you know, what's true, what's false, and what do people want to believe. I think a lot of people out there think this is public enemy number one and want to believe.
Hold on, Josh.
Thank you.
I know they're not going to move from that spot.
Awesome. So yeah, we're definitely gonna try to work on that. Appreciate it.
Do you mind hanging out 1 second? I'm just going to clear your bathroom to make sure that nobody has.
So this is the court personnel preparing for this to be over with, and for him to now come back down the hallway. So we'll stay on this now full screen with audio fully up, but we'll try to listen in with everybody else watching wherever you're watching from once Kohberger arrives down this hallway.
This building's closing up at 5, right?
All right, y'all better have your tomatoes
Sorry,
ready.
Josh, did you want to finish that?
No,
point, though?
I was just thinking, you know, this Kohberger's attorney, you know, he was on Today's Show this morning as well, and said in an interview, you know, he was shocked a little bit when he was arrested. Well, first of all, I'd be shocked a lot if I was ever arrested. But he was shocked a little bit. He said, and he believes he's going to be exonerated. This is what the attorney for Kohberger said in an interview today. So, along with what the family is saying, they're shocked to hear these allegations. They say this couldn't be our son. You know, these are things that are now coming out from the family and from Kohberger himself. So it's until he gets back to Idaho and until we see some more evidence of what happened in this scenario to get him to be this #1 suspect. You know, there's going to be a lot of storylines on social media. We just got to be careful about what we report and what we follow as truth.
Yeah, Sleuthy Goosey. I'm paying attention to some comments here, but we're also trying to also get ready for Kohberger's next appearance in the hallway. Says hashtags for both of us. The lawyer, LeVar, says he got tickets, but he hadn't seen them, didn't know what they were. Indiana State Police say they have no record of stopping either Kohberger. This is based on reporting by Fox News that on the trip in mid-December, on the trip home, Kohberger and his father, according to LeVar, the attorney, that they got pulled over twice in Indiana, and Indiana State Police saying that there was no record of them getting pulled over. And that would mean, of course, that there weren't any tickets given.
Right.
But yeah, that was another nugget that came out from Fox News. As all these as interviews are done and questions are asked, this is how we get information between now and the arrest affidavit.
I mean, they could have been pulled over for like any reason. I wonder if it had to do with suspicion of the white Hyundai that everybody was looking for. I wonder if that was the case. Might have been before they released that information. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right on time.
Girl of the Valley, thank you again. A box of rotten fruit ready. And la chancleta. La chancla. Para un chancletazo.
Walking.
Here we go.
Here we go. Purple, y'all.
Do you got bathrooms? There should be-
Tomatoes ready, people. Fire at will. Boo, boo. You suck. You suck. Boo. I mean, why you gotta stab people, bro? Because Cherry, here in America, we throw rotten tomatoes at people when we don't like them, when we disapprove of their performance. Hence the term Rotten Tomatoes to critique movies. Get it? Rotten Tomatoes. Get it? Anybody ever make that connection? No? Yeah? No? No? So is that it? Are they done? I don't know. I'll leave that there on the back burner in the meantime. Yeah, so I don't know what happened there. Hold on.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JB Buno.
JB.
Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger appears in Pennsylvania court, waiving his extradition, sending him back to the state where he is expected to answer to 4 first-degree murder charges in the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. JB Buno, Josh Benson here with you live on WFLA Now across all platforms. So the extradition process is now in the rearview mirror, according to the court officer there, and we are now awaiting word as to when exactly the extradition is going to happen for the Washington State University student accused of 4 gruesome stabbing deaths at the University.
That's
of
what
Idaho,
I thought.
But
you know, Cherry doesn't know.
A college residence back on November the 13th.
She's a Gen
Josh, so we have
Z-er
seen
or
Kohberger arrive,
millennial
depart. This was all
something
done within really a 15-minute time.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of confusion as to what just happened. So let's just go through what this hearing was all about. So extradition is a procedure where one jurisdiction will pretty much acknowledge with another jurisdiction that there's probable cause to bring someone back and arraign them there for prosecution. So that's what we're seeing here. One of the agencies bringing into this court hearing,
Look at JP,
Kohberger
like,
has
taking a sip out of
decided
his
to
coffee.
waive extradition, meaning
So
he wants to
unprofessional.
get back there to Idaho as soon as possible to try to be exonerated from this crime. And that was set at 3:30. So
Get it
it's what,
together,
quarter
JB.
to 15 minutes. That's all it took. It was supposed to be a brief hearing. It was. Now, he may have gotten the opportunity to speak. Sometimes suspects in this case would be allowed that. We don't know if he was, because we're obviously not in the courtroom at this point. But the public defender, Jason Labar, says he's eager to get back to Idaho to be exonerated, and that's why he's not fighting extradition. So what happens in this case next, if he waives it, which he did, he's expected to be flown back to Moscow, Idaho, and could be there within 72 hours. So we don't know the exact time frame, but that could be the time frame that they're looking at. The Latah County prosecutors have said the affidavit for 4 charges of first-degree murder will remain sealed until he is returned. He's also facing a charge of that felony burglary charge as well.
Just like I'm sure there was high demand to get a seat, if you remember the press in Pennsylvania for today, I'm sure that there was, if not higher demand, to get phones activated so that reporters in the courtroom could tweet out. Bryan Enton, I know, has received his phone, and he is tweeting as we speak. He's got a series of tweets coming in, and we'll start here with the first one. Bryan Kohberger waived his extradition hearing. He had to sign a waiver in court. The judge explained to Kohberger the charges against him in Idaho, and that he was voluntarily allowing authorities to transfer him to Idaho. Really, this is very routine.
Okay, so when?
Exactly what we expected would occur. It was quick. It was to the point. I think Pennsylvania, with the press conference, again, if you're just joining us, the Pennsylvania State Police, they have called a press conference at 4:30. We're going to have that press conference here on WFLA now. The exact reason for the press conference, it might just be, and I'm speculating here. I'm admittedly speculating here. It might just be because they have been inundated with so many questions on the Pennsylvania side of things that they want to do a press conference just to answer questions. And then once we have Kohberger being transported, it's just them signaling that this is no longer a Pennsylvania case. This is going to be an Idaho case from this point forward. So it might just be them, kind of crossing their T's, dotting their I's, and
expect
and
a whole lot of nothing
section
from that
of this story. But this is Kohberger being transported back to the holding area. He will be taken to the
expect a whole lot of nothing from that press conference. They're going to say, well, okay, yep, we're going to send him back to Idaho. Any questions? Was there a guilty verdict? Not yet.
Why did he allegedly do this? Did he know the victims? That's another big question that needs to be answered, and hopefully we get some of these answers when he's back in Idaho. And what evidence do police have against the suspect? And where's the murder weapon? That's another one. That's a big one. They want to find that murder weapon. I don't believe they have it. We haven't seen anything that's indicated that they do, but those are questions now that need to be answered. And that's why you're going to hear about everybody saying now is where the case really starts, because until we see that charging affidavit, until we see some information why the police feel so strongly that this man committed the crimes, we're kind of in that middle ground waiting to see the next step.
We're paying attention to your hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJosh questions and comments coming in on social media. Josh, let's pay attention to Twitter too. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. We are now awaiting a 4:30 press conference with Pennsylvania State Police, where they are going to be answering questions on the Pennsylvania side of things. Chloe wants to know, hashtag HeyJB, do you think Bryan will change his plea once the affidavit is released, or does he know the evidence against him already? Let's make this clear. He hasn't entered a plea. He is not yet in the jurisdiction where he is facing these charges. So he has to be physically in the state of Idaho for him to answer to these charges in front of the judge. So that process is so I think there's this assumption that, of course, that he is going to plead not guilty. It certainly sounds as if he's going to plead not guilty, but make no mistake about it, he has not entered a not guilty plea yet. Does he know the evidence against him already? Is an interesting question. The arrest affidavit, of course. Does Jason Labar have that information?
Oh, I'm sure of it.
Public defender. That's a question that.
If he's in contact with his family, folks, because people are asking, like, does he know the charges against him, or what the evidence is against him? At least that's been made public. Guaranteed. Somebody has told him. Somebody, whether he has a lawyer back there already, lined up, or his parents, somebody in his family is communicating with him and being like, well, this is what they say they got, guaranteed. And that's nothing against his family. That's what a family member would do. They don't know what he did or what he didn't do. Their role is to be a supportive family member until all the evidence comes out. Unless, other than that, they would just be shitty family people. So I do not blame their family, his family, for sticking by him and being supportive of him right now until all of the facts come out. Girl of the Valley, thank you again. I don't mind a whole lot of nothing at the press conference as long as justice is served with sufficient evidence at the end. Patience is a virtue. And I completely agree with you. Same thing. I'm just saying, don't expect a lot from the press conference is all I'm saying. We're gonna stick around and we're gonna watch it anyway. But don't expect a whole lot from the press conference is all I'm saying. We've pretty much got everything that we're gonna get already here. So unless they make some major announcement somehow or something, but I don't see that happening, if I'm being honest.
He was in there and essentially he's positioning himself to be pretty much the
well, they do have his DNA. That's already been made public.
Wants to be the face of the victims for this case, so to speak. So he was talking to NBC News earlier. He says, I want him to be sick of seeing us and sick of knowing that these people won't let it go. It's a battle of wills and we'll see who wins. So this dad, as fired up as he should be, is going to make his presence known and has today. He was in that courtroom for that hearing, as far as we understand today. And it sounds like he's going to be everywhere he can possibly be for every step of the way on this case.
I was just checking because we had planned, and we've been working on this over the course of today, planned to have access to some camera feeds outside the courtroom, because now, just like we saw him earlier, and I'll punch up this video, just like we had the video of his arrival, there's now going to be the video of his departure, and whether or not is there going to be a crowd of some kind that gathers in the area where they're going to transport him back to the Pennsylvania Correction Facility. I just checked our feeds. There are no active feeds outside the courthouse, which means that the camera crews that we have access to, they haven't powered on their signals. If they do power on their signal, believe me, here in the Stream Center, we'll be able to tap into it just like that with the touch of a button. I'll be able to take you to live outside the courthouse, where he is going to be then transported back to the correctional facility where he began his day awaiting extradition to Idaho. Lisa with a really good question. Lisa, will they drive or fly him back to Idaho?
That is a good question.
It's another really good. This is why
I think they've done both in the past.
They have. Extraditions can be done via air. It can be done.
Yeah,
I'm sure. If
last time there was a case like this and there was an extradition, folks, that was Letitia Stock, and Letitia Stock actually attacked the deputy, put him in the hospital, almost killed him. And almost managed to escape. In an attempt to escape, Letitia Stock, during her extradition, tried to escape, almost pulled it off. That woman is super dangerous, and she has managed to stall the beginning of her trial in the most annoying ways. I can't wait for that trial to start. I will be covering that extensively. I've been waiting for that trial forever. Oops.
Idaho within 10 days.
Oh, 10 days. I would have thought 72 hours, but.
And then just seconds ago, Kohberger came into court and made eye contact with his family sitting in the front row. He nodded at them. His mom cried, and his sister comforted the mom. A deputy brought her tissues. So Kohberger, according to Bryan Entin, made contact with his own family clearly emotional in the courtroom. Whether or not there was any moment of eyes meeting, or if there was any moment of Kohberger seeing any of the victims' families, that hasn't been. Look, we're going to get all this information over the course of this live stream. We'll get more details as soon as it comes out, but as of right now, that's what we're going based off of our friend Bryan Entin. We'll go over back to some other comments.
Entin's in there.
I would imagine he doesn't want to sit in jail for 10 days.
You know Enton's in there. But I mean, I'm not surprised it's going to take up to 10 days for that to happen. I mean, there's all kinds of like, ins and outs and T's to cross and I's to dot. I'm sure that's I don't know how that works, but I would imagine, it takes a minute to just make sure everything is on the up and up. Make sure no Letitia Stalk situations happen. I would imagine that. And as they were explaining, there was obviously some emotion going on from his family that were there to support him. His mom and his sister, looks like.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a benefit to fight it unless you're trying to build a case from where you are, but you can't really build a case unless you know really.
Well, the benefit to fight it, dude.
Kind of a moot point.
Sorry, I don't mean to disagree with you there, Mr. Josh Benson, but the point to fight it would be to stall, because as you stated yourself earlier, Josh Benson, you said that they can't start proceedings without him being in Idaho. He has to be in Idaho for them to begin these proceedings. So if he stalls the extradition, well, then he's stalling having to face his consequences ultimately. So yeah, that would be the point. It's not a moot point. That would be the point. To waste everyone's time.
4 of the investigators left after touring the home, while a crime scene reconstruction analyst, remained. Very, very interesting report from Fox News. So this is we're starting to get the inklings of a considerable legal showdown here between the prosecutors in Idaho and between Bryan Kohberger, who isn't just going to be represented by his defense team, but also too, this is somebody who is studying criminal justice,
right?
Somebody who has a bachelor's and a master's degree, Josh,
right?
In fields related to the exact situation that he finds himself in, which of course, in and of itself,
not a coincidence,
is interesting to say the least. So how he now goes about proving what he claims to be his innocence is going to be really the major storyline now going forward. But really, everyone's just waiting for this evidence to drop, because if the evidence is concrete, it certainly points to look, everyone wants justice. Justice is the word that's on the tip of everyone's tongues. The 4 University of Idaho students, their families have been devastated by this just terrible act of evil. And if this is the person who committed the crime, then everyone wants there to be justice. And what justice looks like will take shape over the coming months.
Now, I want to address a tweet, too, from Elena Clemens, saying Steve Goncalves said he would be in the court in Idaho. He did not say he was flying to PA to attend BK's extradition hearing. Please report accurately. All right, I was going off the fact that he's saying that he's going to be wherever he can be.
I'm sorry, wait. What did we have incorrect?
This woman is saying Steve Goncalves said he would be in the court in Idaho. He did not say he was flying to PA to attend BK's extradition hearing. Please report accurately. So if I have that incorrect, then I've seen it incorrectly a few different times on other news agencies.
Let's get that.
So that's why I was hoping if we could see people coming out of the courtrumm, because then it can verify who was there.
Yeah, there you go. Because your chat is going to have, that one person in your chat is going to have the correct information.
Again, was
just double check it. Don't.
Yeah, no. So Steve was going to be at the Idaho court hearings to look him in the face and let him know this is not going away anytime soon.
So maybe that was.
And it does happen. Like, I get shit wrong all the time, and then I'll have the whole chat flooding going, Will, wrong, and then they correct me, and then that's the luxury of having a chat. But that was just one lady, bro. Calm down. Just vet that shit.
Daughter. You can bet I would be anywhere I could be at any time, because this is something that, his daughter was ripped from his life. And if this is the prime suspect, then.
Yeah, I got a similar tweet. So my apology. I misspoke too, that Steve was not
that might
in
be
the courtroom
incorrectly
today.
Across the.
So our apologies there for that inaccuracy. That Steve can
see, that's integrity right there, though. You got to respect that.
The legal proceedings in Idaho and not in and not today in Pennsylvania. So excuse us, apologies. I misread that as that he was going to be in court today. Yeah, and people who are saying online that there's video of him already leaving, I'm not surprised by that at all. Yeah, I was really hoping to have that feed here, folks, but I do not control the camera crews outside of the courtroom. And
there's not a lot in terms of tweets either.
These guys are over here like,
it was such a
yikes.
short hearing.
yeah, I see
really
video of
nothing.
Kohberger leaving.
It's not that serious, guys.
So we were hoping to have feeds from outside of the courthouse.
Yeah, and if you're just joining us, we don't have a camera,
so we can
inside
look
the
at
courtroom,
get another
so we
look
didn't
at
get
this
to
ugly
see,
piece of shit.
Who he looked at, how he acted, all those details. We can get them from the reporters who were in there at the time, but phones, tweeting, video wasn't allowed inside the courtroom.
So let's go back to the comment section. Thank you for the understanding there as we corrected the error. Gianna Marie, #KJB, is it true wanting to represent himself in Idaho? I haven't heard anything of the sort about him representing himself.
Don't beat yourselves up, guys, because, Cherry here, she sends me wrong information on a constant basis. I mean, it's like an epidemic of bad information on a constant basis. I'm surprised I even still have a channel. So don't feel bad, guys. It happens. Don't blame your camera crew or anything. Like, just be thankful that you don't have a Cherry. Okay. I'm kidding, obviously.
This is a very interesting question. So look, he's being extradited to Idaho. He's going to answer the charges, and he's not leaving Idaho until that legal process plays out. And if he is convicted, then again, we don't want to go too far down this hypothetical, but if he is convicted, you're facing either, look, that case could go capital, and we're talking about the death penalty being on the table. We're also talking about the possibility of life without parole. So again, this is somebody who is looking forward, reportedly looking forward to clearing his name and to being exonerated, saying that he is not guilty of the crimes that he has been accused of. If he is able to prove his innocence, and if it's determined that he is not responsible for the crimes, plural, the answer to this question is likely no. If he is convicted, the answer to this question very well might be yes, depending, of course, on the legal process and how it plays out. But there is so much navigating that needs to be done between A and Z. We're not even, I mean, he hasn't even arrived in the state where he's supposed to answer these charges.
What I find the most fascinating too is how quickly information can be discovered on somebody.
Yeah.
In this day and age, which is so many people, a lot of you watching right now, the ability to just tap in and find information so fast is just unbelievable to me in this day and age, because we have a whole profile on this guy of what he did, where he went to school, how he acted when he was in class, where he drove, what kind of car he had, and, who he hung out with. We've had people, close personal friends and exes, reach out to us saying that, they were with him or they were friends with him. And that was all within the first few days. So, I mean, the information travels so quickly.
All right. So I do have,
in this day and age, how much information you get.
I do now have the link to the presser. So we will be watching that when it starts in about 30 minutes. So in the meantime, we'll listen to these guys. Maybe we'll goof around with some Strangler Betty stuff in the meantime. Because that's always fun. By the way, off the subject, while we're waiting on that presser, because I don't think these guys are getting any new information right now, so we can just kind of wait. If you're a mod for me, and you, like, say you have a wrench on this channel and you are not watching live, but you catch the replay, And those of you that are live here in the chat, make sure that you lock down your social media. Make sure that nobody can see your friends lists. Nobody can see your pictures, nothing of that nature. Because you know, I like to piss off doxers. So and when they find that going after me turns out to be a dead end, then they go after my chat. So just be careful, guys. Just as long as you're careful and you don't, you know, you're not careless with your information, you should be fine. But like I said, just make sure you lock down your social media. Make sure that nobody can access unless they're trusted loved ones and friends. They can't access your friends lists or anything like that. Yeah, all of your social media should be deadlocked, especially if you have kids. Everybody should. That's just general advice. So yeah, be careful, Jules. Be careful. Yeah, that's why I call it playing in the mud, because you get dirty. It happens, but it's a dirty job. Somebody's got to do it. But if that's too much heat for you, I don't blame you. I do not blame you. This is what I do here. So if it's not something that you want to be a part of, I understand that. No hard feelings. But I'm just getting started, just so you know. Just want to be honest with you guys.
Right, that we were able to get hallway access, but not courtroom access. But look, every state has their different rules, and we'll find out what the rules are in Idaho.
Hey, I want to give a hat tip out to Mabel Quintanilla. She just gave me forwarded me a tweet from John Webb, who's a reporter out at, looks like North Idaho reporter, KHQ TV. Says Ann Taylor, the chief public defender of Kootenai County, will be representing Bryan Kohberger in the state of Idaho. Reached out to her office just now, but was sent to her voicemail. So now, thanks for posting that. I will look and see if that.
Okay, so it looks like he's got representation in Idaho.
Surrounded by his defense, appears to be. So if that is the case, you're going to hear a lot about her. So we'll start digging on that, get some more information on who's going to be represented.
So that's not official. That's just something that they just got in. But
Ann Taylor, Kootenai County.
Ann Taylor
for forwarding that on.
Katie, #KJB, do you think Kohberger is guilty based on body language and overall attitude? So no one can answer this question.
Right.
And I bring this up just to
nice disclaimer, JB. Good job, buddy.
This the conversation that we were having earlier about how people look at his eyes, he's guilty.
Because they want answers. The people just want to know things so fast. But that's a fair question, because there are body language experts out there who will take a serial killer and look at the mannerisms.
And even still, though,
a discernible, judgment on, yes, this person has tells and this person has things that you can tell when they're lying or whatnot.
Yeah, but it's not an exact science. That's not an exact science.
We could assume we did, but yeah, it's too dangerous at this point to make those kind of jumps.
It is
in a case like this, because there's just so much more work to be done and so much more information that the public just doesn't know yet.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, what is a body language expert going to say about this guy? Like, this guy has never changed his facial expression in public, not once that we've seen so far. Bryan Kohberger has not yet changed his facial expression at all. From his mugshot to that right there, this dude has not changed his facial expression at all. His hands are bound. His feet are bound. What body language are you going to judge? You know what I mean? Like, so if somebody completely shuts down and is quiet during an interrogation and all they say is lawyer, and they don't change their facial expression, that means they're guilty. You know what I mean? So I don't see what a body language expert is going to get from this guy at all. You know, that means nothing. I don't care what a body language expert says about this guy yet. I'm not sure I care at all.
Redactions exist in different forms in different jurisdictions. So we're just hoping that the redactions in and of themselves are minimal, so that we can get the a clear picture as to what evidence is against Kohberger. Again, if you're just joining us, JB and Josh here with you. We are awaiting a 4:30 press conference from PA. And I'm getting that that's set up now.
Slow pokes, I got that right here, bro. Like, hello. You guys are like, I mean, yo, amateur hour, guys. Amateur hour. Like, hello. I'm such a dick. These guys are awesome, and I'm like shitting all over them.
The presser coming up in 20 minutes. Up to you. You're my streaming partner in crime.
I could come back.
Okay. It depends, of course, on.
You don't like to leave a man hanging, though.
No.
On an island.
Josh, you complete.
This is a tough job to do by yourself, right?
Yeah, you complete me, Josh.
How many times have you done this by yourself?
A lot. And it's a lot easier when I have
yeah, Josh, relax, bro. We got you, dude.
But yeah, but it's nice to have people commenting. It's real-time commenting.
I'm with you in spirit, Josh.
Here's what we're gonna do, folks. We are gonna momentarily take a 3-minute break in preparation for the 4:30 press conference. I'll be able to take
just enough time.
I'll be able to talk to our team in person just to make sure that we're getting a feed, and so we will be more equipped and best equipped to handle the 4:30 press conference if we take about a 3-minute break. So don't go anywhere, folks.
Rando Clegg, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate it. All right. Hold on a second here, y'all. Hold on a second. Let's take a little Betty break real quick. So this is from 6 Up Media. This is a little clip from 6 Up Media right here.
Hey guys, we're gonna wait for a few people to get in and then we'll go from there. It's nice to see you guys this morning. A hell of a day, man, already. We got up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, got over here to Seattle to get our flight, and our flight was canceled. And I'm so sick and tired of Spirit Airlines. I am literally
all that money that your people donate and you're flying Spirit. I won't even fly Spirit. I'm poor as fuck. There's no way you're getting me to fly Spirit, bro. Like, ever. I flew that shit once and I was like, oh my God. This is the scariest shit ever. And it was an 1.5-hour flight, dude. It was literally from fucking Georgia to Miami. It was from Atlanta to Miami, dude. It was like, I'm sorry, from Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale, which is even shorter. It was like 90 minutes. And I was sitting there going, oh my God, please God, let me get through this safely. And it was clear, bro. It's clear skies. I'm not flying Spirit with the kind of money that she gets rolling in.
I can't express it enough, guys. You guys got to stay off Spirit. Like, I literally want you guys to call their customer service and just give them help today,
Okay, Karen. Okay, Karen. So here she is, Karening, going, let me get all of you guys to call Spirit and complain. Everybody call Spirit and complain.
Just to give it to them. I'm so sick of this stuff. It's going to end up costing us over $500 to fly home today, because our round trip airline that we budgeted, which was a total $500, brought us back on Spirit from Seattle to Las Vegas. We had a layover in Las Vegas for 4 hours, and then we were
okay. Pay close attention to that, y'all. So they had a layover. Their flight that got canceled. Okay, do the math, people. Do the math, okay? The flight that they had booked already, because they had this whole plan out. This is what she's mad about. Because to me, I'm just like, well, shit, I'll just get another flight. Just wait till the next flight. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, It's not that serious. Normally 9 out of 10 times you're gonna get another flight in a couple of hours, and you don't even have to pay for it. You know what I mean? Flight gets canceled, and then they book you another flight. It's just how that is. It's not that serious. So here she is saying that they had a flight going back to Florida from Seattle, but they had a layover in Las Vegas for 4 hours. You guys going where I'm going? Okay. But she had to pay $500 to get another flight. So basically what happened here, poor Betty and Olivia, their plans to take their listeners' money, their supporters' money, and sit there for 4 hours at the airport casino and fucking play slots. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. That just got a big monkey wrench in the ass. So now she just had to cough up the money, her gambling money, for for another flight to go home. Oh no. What a sad, sad state of affairs.
We're going to be heading to Tampa, and they canceled our flight, and Olivia wants to get home today. So $500, we just had to fork out so we can get home today.
So she throws Olivia under the bus.
And so we're here. And I'm not a happy camper. I can tell you that right now.
Olivia's like, yeah. So why don't we just take the money that our supporters give us and use it for what they give it to us for? You know, like travel expenses. Interesting. And then, Betty's pissed about that. She's like, no, I wanted to sit in front of a slot machine. I wanted to waste that money. So she throws Olivia under the bus. She wanted to go home today. So that shit is just so funny to me, dude. Like, God forbid you actually take the money that they gave you, take the money that they gave you for the expenses that you're claiming that they're for, and you're pissed about it. It's not like you paid for the flight. They paid for it. Your listeners paid for it. No big deal. No money out of your pocket. I don't understand what you're talking about. I mean, and if it's your job, right? Take the receipt and write it off. It's a business expense, is it not? Because I don't think that Betty pays taxes. So, and that's just my personal opinion. I don't believe that she does. So I find it funny that she's so worried about it, because I just be like, well, fuck. Okay, well, we got to wait. Sucks. I'm not fond of airports, but, I mean, it's not that big a deal. Like, why are you whining about this? It makes absolutely no sense. Hold on, let's see what now. Let's see what this dickhead's up to real quick, because his videos are short. Okay, so like, why is this guy, why all of a sudden is he obsessed with Ted Bundy? This should be rich. No pun intended.
Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am in downtown Tallahassee, Florida, and right behind me is the Chi Omega sorority house.
So you're sightseeing.
Why am I here? Well, Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy. January 15th, 1978. Almost 45 years.
Yeah. Almost
ago.
45 years.
Went into this sorority house.
Yeah, 45
attacked
years.
4 women. Killed 2 of them. This sorority house right here, Ted Bundy escaped from the courthouse in Colorado
Mm-hmm.
and came down to Tallahassee.
Yeah, we all
In
know.
December of 1977, Ted Bundy
We all know.
escaped from the courthouse.
We're
in
all
Colorado.
fully aware of it.
Glenwood Springs came here to Tallahassee,
And what does
And
this have to do with the
walk
Idaho
away.
murders?
rented a room under the name Chris Hansen,
Chris Hansen.
an alias, and then went into this
Sit down.
sorority house.
Eat some cookies.
4 innocent college students.
Jules, thank you. Is there any way we can
Then
get
he left.
BHB evicted from Florida? Maybe
And
they
then
can fly
a block
via
or
the
two
Bermuda
away, he
Triangle.
attacks another woman named Cheryl. She lived, and two of the 4 students here lived, but 2 died. Let me spin this camera around. This sorority house right here,
Mm-hmm.
Ted Bundy.
Right. You said that 10 times.
Now, why do I say Ted Bundy related to? I'll tell you why.
We're waiting.
Because Bryan Kohberger case in Moscow, Idaho.
What about it?
And Bryan Kohberger attacked 4 innocent college students.
Killed them.
4 innocent college students inside their home. And there's similarities between Kohberger and Ted Bundy.
Like?
Ted Bundy attacked sorority sisters, and Bryan Kohberger attacked members, not members, well, some sorority members, fraternity member, Ethan Chapin, sorority member, Xana, Madison Mogan, Kaylee, from the University of Idaho. Similarities. Do you think Bryan Kohberger has similar characteristics and traits to Ted Bundy? I do.
Such
Absolutely.
as, besides what you just named? Because actually, I could name more, by the way.
Absolutely.
But seeing as you don't actually follow true crime, you just act like you do. There's no way that you
right
could.
in here. Bundy was eventually caught. He murdered like a young female in central part of the state. Got the DP.
Welcome, A3.
You know what DP stands for. Got the DP. Then they
Jerry, don't do it. Jerry.
got old Sparky. That Bundy got old Sparky. Will Bryan Kohberger have the same fate as Ted Bundy? What do you think? I'm going to take you to Ted Bundy's old house.
Well,
in part 2.
Damn it, Cherry,
This is
you did
part
it.
1 of this video, but I wanted to share this sorority house. Look at the street. Look at the street.
What about the street,
It's
bro?
Peaceful out here.
Yeah, we know.
Totally peaceful out here in Tallahassee.
Bro, this guy
Totally
is killing me, dude.
peaceful. Had these a lot. I noticed these type of trees. I don't know what they are, but lots of them. It's tree area. But he just chose.
They got these trees, though.
This
I don't know
sorority
what kind they are,
house.
but they're trees.
It's unclear why.
There's trees.
If you know
Can you
why
believe
Ted
that there's
Bundy
trees?
chose this sorority house, I'd love to know. Now, it is the holidays right now,
No,
so
they're
no
over.
one's here, so it is empty. But it's a pretty big sorority house. You see, it's 2 stories. It's right next to a place called, right here, it's called Rouge Hall. Rouge Student Center.
What?
I don't know. Did Ted, Ted
on.
Bundy was
I
driving.
gotta see.
I believe he had a Volkswagen, right? Ted Student Center. Hall.
Yeah, Rouge Hall, bro.
Rouge
Hall.
Student Center. I don't know. Did Ted Bundy was driving. I believe he had a Volkswagen, right?
No, Ted Bundy was driving a 2015 Hyundai Elantra, white. Just so you know.
What made Ted Bundy just come here and do this to these
Jet Harper,
innocent,
thank you. I am
young,
in bed
inspiring
sick as a
youth
dog, and I
that
am
were
pretty
just
sure
trying to
I am
get
contributing
an
more to
education
society
so they can
right
further
now
their
than he
life.
is. Right. I hope you feel better. Thank you, Jet Harper.
Oh, it's right next to a church. It's right next to a church.
Oh my God,
Look at that, Ted Bundy.
bro.
Right next to a church. Subscribe to my channel, like, hit the notification button. I'm going
Oh my
to be
God.
posting part
There's
2,
a church
which is going to be
and a
Ted
tree
Bundy's
with
house.
thingies that hang
Stay tuned
on
for
the
that.
trees.
We'll
There's
talk
a
soon.
church
Everyone be safe.
with thingies that hang
Omega.
and a church and a
God bless.
tree. And
When you stay at a
Ted
Vrbo,
Bundy
the
killed
host doesn't
kids
stay with
in
you.
college and,
Because without privacy in your vacation home,
and
it isn't really a vacation.
Bryan Kohberger guy
Is it?
killed people in college too. So I'm here at this college where there's a tree and a church. This guy's killing me, bro. Let's see. Let's hold on. Are we there yet? Almost. We're gonna get back to that right now. Let's await. Let's await the presser. There we go. Full screen that bad boy. And that's muted. Make sure it's not. Make sure the volume's up all the way. There we go. This is Jonatalia Lee Riches, aka Dick Stump LR. I'm here at the presser, and I see a flag, and there's actually two flags. If you look real close, one is blue, and then the other one is the American flag. You know, the kind of flag that we salute, and we also have two microphones on like a desk type thingy, except it's a little taller than a desk. And we're just waiting for somebody. I think somebody's supposed to stand up in front of there and explain something. I wonder if they'll mention Ted Bundy. Snug with Bug, thank you. Great to catch you live. Great to have you here.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Adam Reed. I'm the Director of the Communications Office with the Pennsylvania State Police. Thank you for joining us here. The order of speakers is going to be our Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner, Colonel Robert Ivanchik, Major Christopher Paris, he's our Area 3 Commander, and First Assistant District Attorney, Monroe County, Mike Mancuso. After the speakers have finished, we will then take a handful of questions. Colonel Ivanchik.
Good afternoon. I'm Colonel Robert Ivanchik, Commissioner of the Pennsylvania State Police. While I monitored the investigation into the horrific murders of the University of Idaho students, I did not imagine the investigation would lead to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. My heart goes out to the families of the victims, their friends, the community of Moscow, and the University of Idaho. No words can heal the pain associated with the loss of a child. Their young lives were ended far too soon. In law enforcement, we understand the best thing we can do for victims and their families is to follow every lead, collect every piece of evidence, and bring those responsible to justice. I am proud of the members of the Pennsylvania State Police who were able to help in this investigation. The cooperative relationship between our local, state, and federal partners stands the test of time. The officers, troopers, and federal agents work together tirelessly, putting in long, difficult hours. Communication and cooperation are imperative to success and to ensure the integrity of the case remains maintained. The culmination of that cooperation ultimately led to take the suspect into custody and afforded the families some sense of peace they deserve. I want to thank the Moscow Police Department, the Idaho State Police, and our partners in the Federal Bureau of Investigation for their support, assistance, and coordination.
Welcome, Kylie Sutton.
I
Thank you.
also want to recognize the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. And finally, I need to acknowledge the members of the Pennsylvania State Police, specifically members of Troop N, our Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and our Bureau of Emergency and Special Operations, who assisted in safely taking the suspect into custody in the early morning hours of December 30th.
These guys are heroes, man.
As previously indicated by Chief James Fry of the Moscow Police Department, specific details regarding this investigation cannot be released until the suspect is extradited to Idaho and presented with the probable cause affidavit.
What'd I tell you?
At this time, I will turn the microphone over to Major Christopher Paris, Commander of Area 3, who was involved in the coordinated efforts to take the suspect into custody.
Thank you, Colonel. Area 3 comprises troops F, P, N, and R, and is made up of 1,000 approximately of the women and men, civilian and enlisted, in the northeastern part of Pennsylvania. I'd like to introduce to my left Captain Norm Kramer, who's the commander of Troop N Hazelton, which is comprised of Carbon, Monroe, Columbia, and parts of Luzerne counties. I would like to reiterate, as the colonel said, that Idaho law prohibits any release of information contained within the affidavits. So we're going to do our best today to talk about what phase we are currently in the investigation. And it has entered a new phase with the waiver for extradition. And the continuing primary goal is the seeking of justice through successful prosecution and conviction, bearing the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So with that in mind, we're trying to balance essentially two things: the public's desire for information against the need to maintain the integrity of the investigation and protect the suspects, accused at this point's due process. So I'll now attempt to give you an operational picture with the best information I can release at the time. So this begins when the Pennsylvania State Police Bureau of Criminal Investigation troopers were contacted by the FBI about assisting with surveillance of the accused in this case. I'd like to take the opportunity to specifically thank several individuals. Special Agent in Charge Jackie McGuire and Assistant Special Agent in Charge Dave Carter from the Philadelphia Field Division, as well as Supervisory Special Agent Bill Vigorito of the Scranton RA. We're very lucky in PSP to have a collaborative relationship with the Bureau, both in Pennsylvania and beyond, and their people are absolutely excellent. So as the investigation progressed, Troop N Criminal Investigation Section, commanded by Captain Kramer over my left shoulder here, began to collaborate with authorities in Idaho. Specifically, I'd like to acknowledge Lieutenant James Curto, who was here today, Sergeant Anthony Ferdinand, Corporal John Chulak, who is not present with us, and Troopers Leary and Knoll, who are here with us today. It was through this collaboration and the charges pending in Idaho that those troopers were able to obtain search warrants and a fugitive from justice warrant that was prepared here in Monroe County for the location in Chestnut Hill Township and the fugitive from justice warrant for Mr. Kohberger, respectively. I'd like to acknowledge the Monroe County District Attorney, David Christine, as well as First Assistant Mike Mancuso and their entire office. The support that we received was absolutely excellent. Once those warrants were obtained, the Bureau of Emergency and Special Operations, BESO, coordinates our Special Emergency Response Team, CERT. They were selected to serve those warrants, the 3 search warrants and the fugitive from justice warrant. To define what CERT is, it's a full-time tactical team maintained by PSP to deal with high-risk warrant situations, barricades, and other incidents requiring specialized tactical training or other capabilities. From their perspective, we essentially task them to go out and serve a arrest warrant for someone accused of a quadruple murder. They're activated several hundred times a year throughout the Commonwealth. We don't typically hear of their work in a forum like this because they serve the warrant, the person's taken into custody, and they go about their assignment. They are the ultimate professionals. It's a volunteer team. They're highly trained and highly motivated. Captain Norm Kramer over my left shoulder was assigned as the top comm for the CERT activation, which means he was responsible for coordinating our tactical preparations. So tactical assets were then staged in the county, in Monroe County, into the evening of Thursday, December 29th, last Thursday. And in the early hours of Friday, December 30th, those warrants were executed at the location. Mr. Kohberger was taken into custody without incident. The scene was turned over to the FBI Evidence Response Team for processing. Mr. Kohberger was then turned over to the Monroe County Prison, where he has remained in their custody since. I'd like to thank the Monroe County Sheriff and the Stroud Regional Police Department for their support as well during the extradition process. Arrangements currently are being made to deliver Kohberger back to Idaho, where he can have continued due process and face these charges. So it's with that, I will turn it over to First Assistant Mike Mancuso.
Thank you, Major. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mike Mancuso with the DA's office, the First Assistant District Attorney. I want to give my
also with the Daily Bugle,
families of the victims out in Idaho for their loss. It's my sincere hope that this marks a clear step in the right direction of effectuating justice for those folks. My office's role was relatively recent. We weren't advised of the presence of the defendant in our county until only a couple days before the apprehension of the defendant. But when we were told, we came together and worked very closely with Captain Kramer, who did an excellent job in almost like a clockwork operation. Part of my duties were to ensure that 3 separate search warrants were issued. Those affidavits attached to those search warrants are still under seal, so I can't discuss their contents with you. But one was for the person of Mr. Kohberger, collecting DNA and photographs, that sort of thing. One was for the white Elantra vehicle, which I understand has been seized and is being processed. And one was for the address, the residence itself that he was living in with his family. I was at the scene, and I have to say that Major Paris and Captain Norm Kramer did an outstanding job in coordinating the efforts, not only of the numerous Pennsylvania State police troopers there, but officers from other jurisdictions and disciplines within those jurisdictions to make this a very smooth, highly competent professional operation. It is a quirk, apparently. It's not in the norm of the states I'm familiar with that Idaho does not release their probable cause affidavit in support of their arrest warrant until after their defendant is returned to that state. But having read those documents and the sealed affidavits of probable cause, I definitely believe that one of the main reasons the defendant chose to waive extradition and hurry his return back to Idaho was the need to know what was in those documents. So that's a significant development. Beyond that, looking at the scope of the situation and the ties this defendant has to my county, I would hold our office at the disposal of the Idaho authorities to help facilitate a complete background investigation into the defendant, both activities prior to the murders occurring within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and his activities after the murders in Pennsylvania. So we stand ready to assist with that effort on an ongoing basis. Thank you.
Now I got to go find that wall crawler.
We can now open it up.
Sorry, he looks like James Jonah Jameson. He does. Sorry, he does. Like, just like him.
Did or can you give us any indication as to the operations of state police when you were notified? You talked about putting tactical in the area. How long were they there? And what's the?
We're not in a position to give you an exact time. It was at some point prior to when the surveillance was taken, as the investigation progressed to a point where search warrants could be obtained and the probable cause for those search warrants and an arrest warrant, a fugitive from justice warrant based on the arrest warrant out in Idaho were obtained. We began to take the tactical steps to plan to serve them.
Were you collecting evidence prior to his arrest?
At this point, like we said, it's very much pertinent to what's in the affidavits, which we cannot speak about.
What's it about his demeanor when the arrest actually happened?
Present sense impression, as likewise ongoing investigation, can't discuss it.
How, Bryan 69 News, how is Kohberger being transported back to Idaho?
Those arrangements are being discussed right now, as well as the logistics. The court order says, those of you who heard it today, it's within the next 10 days. So we're currently working on that in coordination with authorities out in Idaho. Sir, I can't comment. I don't know.
Is he being held in the Monroe County jail until he's extradited, or was he removed to another?
No, he is lodged in the, since he was dropped off there Friday morning, he's resided in Monroe County Prison.
Still, until he's
Correct,
extradited,
yes.
he'll be there. Are the marshals moving him, or which group?
At this point, that's still being coordinated between the state police and the authorities out there. We don't know.
Will the affidavit be unsealed when he arrives in Idaho?
I don't want to speak out of my lane. When I watched the press conference on Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I was alerted to the fact that according to Idaho state law, that the affidavits have to be served to him once he's extradited back before they could be unsealed.
Did he say, has anyone else been arrested?
Ongoing investigation.
Has a motive been determined?
I can't comment on that either. I apologize.
Who transports him, sir? Does Pennsylvania State Police, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department?
He's presently back. He was transported from the courthouse by Monroe County Sheriff. And the logistics of who's going to transport him out to Idaho are still being discussed. We don't know yet.
Can you confirm the time of his arrest and how much law enforcement presence there actually was?
I would say it was in the early morning hours of Friday, December 30th. Tactical assets on scene were probably in the neighborhood of 50.
Wow.
Were you afraid he was going to get tipped off before you got him?
I would say overall about this entire operation, and the credit goes, this is a part that the state police played humbly. You look at Moscow Police Department, 38 sworn, 19,000 leads, the video evidence that they had to develop in order to put that out, all public source information. But when you talk about the service of a high-risk warrant for someone who's committed or alleged to have committed 4 homicides, there's nothing routine about that. And all of those tactical steps that were taken were in conjunction with the best efforts of the authorities, local, state, and federal, both in Idaho and here, to ensure that we could do it safely and to ensure that we could get him into custody and that those service or the search warrants could occur.
Well
Ask
said.
you a question of the first assistant. Mr. Mancuso, you described having read to a degree the contents of that affidavit of probable cause, and that you possibly speculated or theorized that he wanted to get back to read that as well, since he can't read that. Can you give us an indication, though, of the seriousness of what you did read? I know you can't talk about it, but can you share with us something?
Yeah, I can't get into the details, sir, but I can say it involved the defendant's connection to a scene of a crime consisting of 4 murdered people. So that's the significance of it.
Can you confirm that there is a connection between Bryan Kohberger and any of the victims?
I can't discuss that.
How confident are you that he is guilty of these crimes?
That wouldn't be my place to say. Certainly confident
Nice.
enough that there was ample probable cause for the issuance of the various warrants in the case.
What was your reaction when you heard this? You've all talked about you followed this. This happened states away. When you get that call, or you all get the call that this person could be right here in your home area, what's your reaction?
Well, I was surprised, really, Monroe County of all places. It hits close to home. It's a normal human reaction, I would think, under the circumstances.
Do you know when he and his father left Idaho or Washington and drove to Pennsylvania, what that date was?
No, I don't know the exact date, man.
Approximately, we understand the middle of December, is that correct?
I think that's approximate.
And what about, we had heard reports that they were stopped not once but twice on the highway. Can you elaborate?
I'll defer to his Pennsylvania public defender on that.
Do you have reason to believe that Kohberger is connected to other crimes and unsolved mysteries in the area?
I wouldn't answer that question at this time.
You start looking at some that may be unsolved where he was around.
That would be a normal thing to do.
Question for the BSP here. Said he was taken without incident. Was it safe to say that, I shouldn't say it's safe to say, but did it seem like he was expecting?
I wouldn't comment on what his present sense was. I would just comment that the professionalism of the CERT team and their tactical training definitely proved in a situation like this to do it in the most tactically sound and fastest way possible.
Was there anybody else in the house at the time?
His parents were in the house at the time.
Did they say anything to you?
Again, present sense impression. I can't comment on that ongoing investigation.
Even it was down the door.
Force was used. The warrants were issued for evening search warrants, which in Pennsylvania requires additional probable cause in order to serve them at the hours of darkness. I would defer to the first assistant to talk about the legal burden that you bear in order to obtain those. But from a tactical standpoint, based upon all of the briefings that we had developed and all of the intelligence we had developed, we thought that was the best time to serve it.
And what tipped off that Pennsylvania was involved with this?
We were alerted by the FBI. Troopers in the Bureau of Criminal Investigation were alerted.
Anything on like his social media pages that tipped anything?
I can't comment. I don't know.
So that was here, it's been cooperative in this whole process.
Can't comment. Ongoing, like I said. State Police's role here was to serve the warrants and assist with the surveillance, which we've done. We've been part of major investigations. You know, these are men and women who take an oath to protect their communities and the Commonwealth here. We're very humbled with the opportunity that we had, given a case that has really gained international attention to play a small part in it. And our hat is off to Moscow PD again with the size and the complexity of this investigation and the work that they've done to get us here today. And this is only the beginning of the next step.
If it's determined that anyone here in Pennsylvania either helped to conceal or dispose of any evidence, then you would be a part of this case, or would it go to...
I would say that we would pledge whatever support we can for ongoing investigations with the Idaho authorities here in Pennsylvania. Absolutely. We would help them in any way we could.
Were there any weapons found in the home?
I don't want to get into what was actually seized in the house pursuant to the evidentiary nature of it.
God bless these reporters. They're trying, man.
Those are tactical decisions in terms of base surveillance. I don't want to give out too many tactical factors that go into that situation, but obviously surveillance was conducted and we wanted to go in at a time when we thought it would be the safest for everybody, safest for anybody else in the house, safest for Mr. Kohberger, and safest for our people.
There was an interesting question asked earlier about the care that needed to be taken to not tip the suspect off. Could you describe how long that lid had to be on things and how many people were involved in it? Like how many people knew and for how long?
So I would say, I would answer the question this way. I don't want to get into a timeline in terms of when we were notified by the FBI and when the surveillance began. Obviously, we know on Thursday night into Friday morning is when the warrants were served. I would say, as a credit to the professionals, both standing behind me and others not here, many others not here, the information was held very close. And we did not want to have any situation where Mr. Kohberger potentially would be tipped off. So as a result of that, I would say a close number of approximately 7 to 8 individuals, maybe 10 on the most within the PSP side of this operation knew about it.
And for days, can we say? Or?
I would say for a period of time. I would not feel
nice.
comfortable commenting anymore for a period of time.
This guy's awesome.
And then as the tactical assets were brought in, people were briefed.
Moving
Improvement plan is finally decided. Will there be an announcement? Will
Not from the state police, so we would defer to Moscow and the authorities in Idaho.
when he starts leaving Pennsylvania?
Well, we have security concerns now, obviously, to move any prisoner. Anytime you move somebody from a secure prison to another place, we don't want to, there won't be an announcement from the state police in terms of those logistics, but they're being worked on right now.
Can you give us your best guess when you think he might be moved roughly? Tomorrow?
We would like to do it as soon as possible, but the court order says 10 days. We have 10 days to coordinate it.
Can you possibly be on a plane tonight? Is it possible he could be on a plane tonight? That's a possibility, right?
Jesus, man.
I would think that's probably not likely.
Private plane, or would you fly commercial?
We're looking into that right now.
What?
Can you confirm or deny that a window was broken in order to gain access into the home?
There were multiple windows that were broken, I believe, to gain access, as well as multiple doors. I think the video of the house after the fact confirms that, and that would all be part of the tactical plan based on the floor plan of the house, etc. And
Wow.
what the CERT operators would do to serve those warrants.
So they busted in there, bro, like from all ends.
Connections? Wouldn't comment on that based on the ongoing nature.
But how about did he have a criminal past? According to the UJS, I didn't see anything.
I can't comment on a person's criminal history during an ongoing investigation.
Sorry, Mr. Mancuso said that you stand ready to assist in giving you the complete background of the defendant. What specifically is law enforcement interested in?
This guy's like, dude, I need a break. You take this.
In any case of this nature, and I prosecuted a fair share of homicides, double homicides, that sort of thing. You want to look at any evidence of possible motive. You want to look at any evidence of a pattern of modus operandi or method. You want to get into the subject's character, mental state to the best you can, that sort of thing. So it'll be an all-encompassing effort, which we stand ready for. Okay.
How do you do it?
We have our ways. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Just for a quick spelling, I'll give everyone the spelling of everyone's name. It was included in the media advisory, but just so we have it.
Okay. All right, so that's it, folks, as far as that. And like I said, they're not going to give a whole lot of information, but I did think that it was pretty interesting that they went into a little bit of detail as to what their tactical methods were. They said that there were multiple windows broken. So basically that describes, like, when I think of the breach of executing that warrant to get his ass, there was just like SWAT coming in from every angle in the house, like, get down on the floor, get down on the floor. You know, like these guys were not screwing around. And that's the thing, is I see a lot of you guys, I noticed Phoenix earlier said, you know, why aren't they telling us anything? This is standard, man. You got to understand, this is still an open investigation. Just because they made an arrest doesn't mean that the case is closed, that they just got their man. There could be accomplices. I don't believe there are, but there's more evidence to be collected. Like we won't see a trial, I don't think, until at least closer to the end of the year. So there's a lot of evidence that needs to be sorted and still needs to be collected. So I've got words. Thank you so much. Hey, TMZ just released video of the traffic stop emailing you. Ooh, okay. Appreciate that. Oh, looks like Cherry might have that too. I'm not leaving yet. We're hanging out. Look, man, that DA, I couldn't help it. That dude was a spitting image of James Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man. Like, I'm not even trying to lie. Like, all I could see this guy saying was like, I'm gonna get that wall crawler. He's a menace. He's a menace. But I liked what he was saying. I think that those guys were totally together. Everything that these guys were saying was just on point. They were not being faltered. Like the press was really trying to trip them up, and they weren't having it. They weren't having it. Okay. All right, guys. I got footage of the traffic stop here. Jerry just sent this to me. And I've got words, probably sent it to me too. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So let's watch this traffic stop. This is one of 2 traffic stops. I don't think I have the other one, but I have this one. So how long is this? That's not long, 6 minutes.
I stopped you when you were driving by me there. You're a little too close to back that semi. One car in the back of this trailer. About one car going 36 miles an hour. So you're going 60 or 70 miles an hour. About 6 or 7 cars. Oh, you guys did? Yeah. So. You guys stopped by a trooper? We don't have any SUVs.
This is the second stop.
It was a county guy. Was it like a black SUV? Yeah. Okay. All right. You said you guys following too closely? Okay. Today?
I can only hear the cop.
Well, I'm not going to give you guys another ticket or warning if you just got stopped. Just make sure you give yourself plenty of room, okay? So like I said, it's all about how fast you're going, okay? So if you're going 10 miles an hour, you don't need one car. If you're going, so speed limit here is 7. If you're going 70 miles an hour, you need 7 car miles. Yeah. That's the easy way to explain it. Yeah. It's really in the B&B man, it says 2 to 3 seconds. All right, you guys have a safe trip. Where y'all heading? Thank you so much. Where y'all heading to?
Okay, so you guys are asking why they got pulled over. From what I gathered, is that he was going 110 in a 65. I think that's what he said. He said something to that effect, but I'm not 100% on that. It's really hard to hear because of the ongoing traffic that's around them.
Where we're at? Yeah, it's a long haul. You guys scared of airplanes? Did you? Okay. All right, well, hey, please have a safe trip. Thank you, sir.
What's the date on that? On the 15th? I mean, so the date on this was on the 15th. So, like, weren't they already looking for the Hyundai Elantra at the time? You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't there have been like a bolo for a white Hyundai Elantra? I mean, I'm not faulting this cop. I mean, it's a routine traffic stop. You know what I mean? So, but oh, this is the other traffic stop. Okay. Or unless it's the same one and it's just from the dash cam. It might be the same pullover, but from the dash cam angle, not the body cam. Yeah, but heck, like they're not gonna. I mean, they're not gonna arrest you for speeding. Like that's unless they're looking for a reason to arrest you. I mean, Terry Dean, it happens. Probably because they're out of state tags and they're, you know, a cop could just be feeling generous and just be like, just go and drive slower. I mean, a lot of people speed at 110 on these long road trips because they're trying to make time. Normally, a cop will only give you a ticket because he's trying to meet a quota and gain revenue for the city or county. Jeanette Rebel, that's not a safe assumption at all. Like, I'm not even going to begin to even, like, I'm not even going to begin to ponder on whether or not the dad knew anything yet. I'm going to assume that he didn't. That's a hell of a thing to accuse a parent of.
An unfortunate scene, Buffalo Bills safety critical condition following a heart attack on the field. A scene that something I've never seen before. Matt, we'll get into this on today's episode of Peacock and Williams.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so that's that as far as the body cam footage. I mean, I didn't expect to see much from that. You know, obviously they were pulled over twice. They let them go. We knew that already. So, I mean, at this point, all we can do is just kind of wait for the affidavit to be released. That's going to be as far as that goes. From what I gather, that's not going to be released until he's extradited back to Idaho, and that could be anywhere within the next 10 days. So. If you ordered something on Amazon today, you'll probably get that package before the the extradition, for all we know. So just don't hold your breath just yet. And I didn't expect to get much from that press conference, honestly. That press conference, I mean, it's an ongoing investigation. They cannot give details on the evidence that they have. Or anything of that nature. That stuff is going to be in the affidavit. So we're just going to have to wait for that and be patient. So a lot of people drive a white Hyundai, and maybe the dad didn't know anything. Maybe the dad doesn't follow the news, Catherine at 662. You know, you guys are thinking, well, some of you are thinking as though every single person in the world is talking about this. Personally, I don't know anybody in my personal life that gives a shit about this, if I'm being totally honest. They don't follow crime cases. You know, a lot of them don't even watch the news anymore just because of the shit show that the news has become. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't expect a whole lot of people to know you know what this is. I mean, yeah, yeah, we can't sit here and assume the worst of the dad. That's not responsible. To me, he's much as so far, he's as much of a bystander as any of the other people that JLR has been harassing, that BHB has been knocking on doors and bugging while she was out there. You know, these are bystanders. He's a bystander so far. Until we know more, I'm not going to assume the worst of this man. He's not responsible for what his adult son does. Girl of the Valley, thank you so much. Again, I appreciate you. I have a feeling they were already tracing him. 2 stops, same state is suspicious. No, I think they would have asked him more questions. I think that would have taken those stops would have taken longer. They wouldn't have just been like, all right, well, drive more carefully. Bye. If they were suspicious of that car being the car that they were looking for, or looking out for, those stops would have taken a lot longer. I don't think that they suspected anything. I think that he was speeding. They stopped him. They let him go. Period. Cut and dry. Easy. Why would you assume that the father is colorblind? Buttercup, baby. What am I missing? Why would you assume that his dad is colorblind? Well, here's the thing is, I mean, I get that. Yeah, I mean, but Kelsey 206, you got to keep in mind as well, like, who doesn't look like they're going to pee their pants when they get pulled over? I mean, everyone looks scared when they get pulled over by the cops. Nobody wants a ticket. Nobody does. You know what I mean? And that's enough to give you a look on your face like, fuck, hello, officer. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that you're necessarily up to something. So literally every single person that gets pulled over, the cop is going to see somebody with a scared look on their face. It would be abnormal if they didn't. What's up, Panda Glady? How you doing? So yeah, it wouldn't be suspicious of someone to be scared when they see a cop when they get pulled over. It'd be almost more suspicious if they're like, hey, officer, how you doing? All right, step out of the car, please. Yeah, I mean, so everything just went as expected today. Oh, this definitely needs more cream. Sorry. Everything went as suspected or as expected today. I mean, the cops in Pennsylvania and the DA, they didn't give us. They gave us more information than I expected. But big shout out to those to law enforcement. I mean, in Pennsylvania, they executed that. It sounds like they executed these warrants in detail. They collected DNA and they searched his home and the vehicle. And so, and I'm pretty sure that they did a thorough job. I mean, those guys looked like they were all business. Thank you again, Girl of the Valley. I agree. Dad thought car was gray from grime. Yo, like seriously, you ever heard of a car wash? Like that car was filthy. For a guy at seems as organized as Bryan seems, you'd think a car wash would be in order. Just saying. Well, I mean, perfectly imperfect. We still don't know. We don't. Maybe he was smarter than the evidence that was collected. We don't know what kind of evidence they have yet. We know some of the evidence that they have. We know that they have DNA on a piece of material which has not been specified. And they found him via the car, and that's all we know. Now, what I'm really hoping for is DNA found inside the car from one of the victims, from the murder weapon. Maybe he put the murder weapon on the floor, under the seat, something to that effect, and hopefully they found DNA from the murder weapon that belongs to one of the victims. That would be sealing the deal right there, I would think. In theory, I don't know, but I would think that would be, that's it. I don't think that they need the murder weapon necessarily. Like I said, it just depends on the evidence that they have currently. So hopefully the evidence that they have is damning enough, and they won't need maybe DNA from his shoes, from anything. I mean, let's face it. If you stabbed 4 people violently to death, their DNA is going to end up somewhere. So if they can connect one of the victims' DNA directly to him, I mean, that's it. So that's what I'm really hoping for. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Benjamin Mon, you win handle of the day, by the way. Benjamin Mon. I mean, such a violent crime. I mean, there's going to be blood spatter. There's going to be blood everywhere. And as thoroughly as this guy's going to clean himself or the murder weapon or whatever, at some point, somewhere, there's got to be just a speck of blood. And I'm sure that law enforcement was looking for this. And hopefully they found something, and it's going to get sent back, and they don't fuck up the chain of custody, and that gets back to Idaho, and it is enough to convict him. But one of the guys from WFLA News made a good point that one thing that you can count. Well, no, it wasn't one of the guys from FL. Sorry, excuse me. The DA that was at the press conference in Pennsylvania was saying that it was an indication to him that he was in a hurry to get back to Idaho because he wants to know what kind of evidence. He wants that affidavit released more anxiously than any of us do. He wants to know what kind of evidence they have. Because normally in a case like this, as I was saying earlier, a lot of times these people, they want to stall as much as possible. This guy's like, no, I want to get back right away. I want to know what they got on me. So a lot of the times he'll try to, a person like this in this position, if they're guilty, would try to stall and kill time and, just delay the process of a trial as much as possible. So for that DA to say, yeah, I get the indication that he just wants to know what kind of evidence we've got. He's anxious to find out what kind of evidence we got. So and for him to say that is pretty telling. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty telling for him to say that, because it kind of gives a reflection of what his opinion is. And when they ask him, do you think he's guilty? He's like, I can't really say. He's like, I'll say that, because he was trying to figure out a way to answer that. He was just kind of like, I'll say that we had enough probable cause. So, but I felt like he wanted to say that, yeah, I totally think he did it. So, like I said, folks, we're just gonna have to wait, see what happens. That affidavit will come out at some point, and we will review it when it comes out. Yeah, and Kelsey 206, I wouldn't be surprised if he bought, cleaning products, and if they found evidence of like bleach or any luminol or cleaning products or anything of that nature, I would say that that's telling, but it's not evidence. I mean, it's not illegal to clean, dude. You know what I mean? That's not evidence. It's circumstantial at best, like they can't use that against Barry Morphew. So one of the things is, Barry Morphew, I think the room smelled like bleach in his hotel room, but that doesn't really mean anything, so he wants a clean hotel room, or he went in the pool and he had a towel and there was chlorine in the pool, and you know what I mean? There's all kinds of things that the whole point. And I'm going to say this. You've heard me say it a million times. I'm going to keep saying it. The whole thing here is that the prosecution has to be able to build a case beyond a reasonable doubt, meaning that they have to build a case to where his defense cannot create any doubt in the jury. So all it takes is to create doubt in one juror, because the jury has to be unanimous in their decision to convict. So if one juror is like, I'm not convinced, that's all it takes. And that's all a defense attorney's job is. And if they don't have strong enough evidence to convince 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt that he's guilty of this crime, he's going to walk. That's how it works. That's how the justice system works. So, and yeah, the fact that he's a criminology student, yeah, so we got to take all these things into consideration. So right now, that's where I'm at. Where I'm at right now is I'm hanging on, I'm walking on pins and needles right now, as to what evidence they have. I want to know, just like Bryan wants to know, for different reasons, but I want to know what evidence they have. I want to see that affidavit based on what evidence they have, just because of the evidence that they have. I want to know, but we'll see. We're just going to have to be patient and wait. Sweet and sour. That's a good point. Bryan Kohberger is a behaviorist. Crime scene investigation is not his specialty. That is true. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that he's not intelligent enough to cover his tracks. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that he is. I'm saying that we know that he's smart. So it's quite possible, if not likely, that he did a pretty good job of covering his tracks. Hopefully just not good enough. But that's what I'm hoping for. Oh, I'm sure they looked at that. Kelsey 206. I'm sure they looked at his browser history. I'm sure they checked all of his tech. Yeah, I didn't get the impression from these officers in Pennsylvania that they did anything less than the most thorough search that can be done. So. Well, Scarlet Summer, I mean, let's be careful there, because I know what you're saying. Do I believe he's guilty? I feel like he is, based on, I think law enforcement did a good job of, I got the impression that at least law enforcement believes that he's guilty. So, that's enough for me to be like, hopefully they got their guy. But to say this guy is evil, I hope he gets capital punishment, just no soul behind the eyes. Well, let's be careful, because maybe they got the wrong guy. There's still that possibility. I don't think so, but I'm just not quick to just be like, kill the guy. Like that's not where my mind goes this early on in a case. So I'm just saying. Yep. Penn cops seem badass. They did an amazing job. I agree. I absolutely agree. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate all of you guys and hanging out with me. I know a lot of the channels were covering this, and I'm glad that you joined me here. Thanks for all your support. And again, if you make sure to check and make sure that you're subscribed. YouTube is doing that monthly cleanup and unsubscribing people. So make sure to check and make sure that you're subscribed. If you're not, just hit that subscribe button for me again, and hit the like on your way out. And I love you guys very, very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.